PharmaPal.
You're listening to Bloomscast, the official podcast of Blooms.io, home of the bioactive library for mass spectrometry instant optimization. Let's dive into the latest in natural chemistry, bioactive discovery, and the future of lab innovation.
Herbal VX and female sexual function. What really stands out is the problem it's trying to tackle. It's pretty widespread.
You got it. The study starts by highlighting a really common issue: low sex drive in women. I mean, they say it could affect as many as 1 in 5 women.
Wow, that's a lot.
It really is. So the researchers wanted to see if Herbal VX, the specific herbal combo, might be a helpful alternative, compared to maybe more standard treatments.
Right. And Herbal VX basically gets its potential from its 2 main ingredients.
Precisely. So first up is Murapuama, nicknamed potency wood.
Catchy name.
Isn't it? And it's not new. It has a long history, traditional use in the Amazon for libido, erection issues. It's even listed in the British Herbal Pharmacopoeia.
So it has some official recognition, sort of.
Kind of, yeah. And interestingly, there was already some research on a specific extract, HV430, which showed it might help men with ED and low libido. Think of HV430 as like a concentrated version.
Okay, Murapuama. And the second one?
That's ginkgo biloba. Most people think memory, right?
Yeah, or circulation.
Exactly. And that circulation boost is key here. Ginkgo is known to help increase blood flow, and that includes, to the genital area. So it's been looked at for sexual function in both men and women.
Okay, so you got these two, Murapuama and ginkgo, working together in Herbal VX. Who actually took part in this study?
Good question. It was 202 healthy women, all over 18, in relationships, and they specifically reported having low sexual desire.
Healthy, but with this specific concern.
Right. And they were careful to exclude women with serious illnesses, recent surgeries, pregnancy, certain medications that mess with sexual function, or substance abuse issues, just trying to keep the results focused.
Makes sense. You want to isolate the effect as much as possible. So how did they run the study? What did the women actually do?
So they got a month's supply of Herbal VX, but interestingly, they tried 2 different dosing strategies to see if that made a difference.
Oh, how did that work?
Well, about 61% of them were on a low dose, 2 tablets every day for the whole month. The other 39% did a higher dose, 6 tablets a day, but only for the first 10 days.
Huh.
Why the difference?
Apparently that higher initial dose was based on what was recommended for a male version of the same formula. And each tablet had 175 milligrams of that Murapuama extract, HV430, and 16 milligrams of ginkgo extract.
Okay. And how did they measure if anything changed? Not lab tests, I imagine.
No, it was all self-assessment before they started, and then again after the month they filled out questionnaires.
And these were designed to look at different parts of their sex lives. Some used like a 9-point scale for satisfaction, importance of sex life, that kind of thing. Others asked about frequency, how often they felt desire, had intercourse, etc.
Got it. So a baseline picture, then another snapshot after a month on Herbal VX. What did they find? Did it actually seem to do anything?
The results were pretty interesting. Overall, 65% of the women showed higher total scores on those questionnaires after the treatment.
55%, okay.
And when they looked closer at specific areas, they found statistically significant improvements like a p-value under 0.01, meaning it's highly unlikely to be just chance in quite a few key aspects.
Okay, tell me more. What improved?
All right, so significant gains in satisfaction with their sex life, the intensity of their sexual desires, how exciting their fantasies felt, their ability to reach orgasm, and the intensity of the orgasm itself.
Wow, that's quite a list.
Yeah. Plus, they also reported increases in how often they felt sexual desire, how often they had intercourse, and how often they had sexual fantasies.
That sounds really positive. Yeah. What about, sticking with the plan? Did people take the tablets? Any side effects?
Yeah, compliance was reportedly good, meaning most women took the tablets as directed, and tolerability was also good. Only 8 women reported any adverse effects.
8 out of 202. That's not many.
No. And they were mostly mild things: sweats, headache, indigestion, a couple cases of thrush. Interestingly, some women even reported unexpected positive things, like less breast tenderness with their periods or more energy.
Huh. Okay, so the numbers look good, but what about how the women felt? Did they perceive a difference?
That's a really important question, right? They did ask them that using another 9-point scale. How much do you think Herbal VX improved things? And 73% said they felt some improvement in at least one area.
Okay, nearly 3/4 felt something positive.
Exactly. And drilling down, 34% felt a dramatic improvement in sex drive, 26% felt it in the intensity of response during foreplay, another 26% in excitement during intercourse. 36% felt their relationship quality improved.
With their partner, yeah?
With their partner, yes. And 37% thought their partner would say the relationship improved. And maybe broadest of all, 41% said their general life satisfaction improved.
That covers a lot of ground, from specific sexual response to general well-being. Now, you mentioned the study included pre- and post-menopausal women. Did menopause make a difference in the results?
Yes, good point. They did compare those two groups. What they found was, well, a bit nuanced.
Yeah.
So, for ability to reach orgasm and intensity of orgasm, postmenopausal women started lower and ended lower than premenopausal women. That difference was significant.
Right.
But the amount of improvement they saw in those areas was actually pretty similar for both groups. So Herbal VX seemed to help both, just from different starting points.
Interesting. So the degree of improvement was similar there. What about other things, like desire or satisfaction?
Satisfaction with sex life was similar at the start, but after treatment, the premenopausal women reported significantly higher scores and a bigger improvement than the postmenopausal group.
Okay. So difference there.
Yeah. But for intensity of sexual desire, no significant difference between the groups. Both seem to get a similar boost there.
Fascinating. And the dosage. Did taking more at the beginning make a bigger difference than the steady lower dose?
You'd think so, maybe, but surprisingly no. For most of the main outcomes, there wasn't a significant difference between the high-dose and low-dose groups.
Really?
Yeah. The only place they saw a statistically significant difference was in how the women perceived the effect on their relationship with their partner. And in that case, the lower, consistent daily dose actually seemed slightly better.
Huh. That is surprising. Maybe less is more sometimes, or at least just as good?
Could be. So, wrapping up this first study, Herbal VX seems to show some promising signs for improving different aspects of female sexual function, and it looked pretty well tolerated.
Right. The conclusion was basically small but significant improvements in most areas, good safety profile in this group. And yeah, the similar effects for both doses, except that one relationship aspect, and the similar degree of improvement for pre- and postmenopausal women on some measures. Those are definitely points worth noting.
And they mentioned more research is coming, didn't they?
They did. They specifically said a double-blind study is planned, which is really the gold standard, right?
Absolutely.
You need that placebo group to really know if the effect is specific to the herbs or if other things, like just being in a study, are playing a role. It helps rule out that placebo effect.
Crucial next step. Okay, let's switch gears now. Let's talk about that second source, the safety study on the other herbal formulation.
Yes, this one looked at a product called Nerviton. It's quite a mix. It included the Enomopegma marandum, that's Catawba colinitida, Passiflora alata, Pollinia cupana, which is guarana.
Oh yeah, guarana, like in energy drinks.
Sometimes, yeah. Also Tycopedalum olicoides. There's our friend Muropwama again, and thiamine, which is vitamin B1.
Wow, quite the cocktail. Why study the toxicity of this specific blend? What was the reason?
Well, the researchers point out that, natural products are getting more popular.
For sure.
And with that popularity comes a real need for solid safety testing. Apparently, in Brazil, the regulatory agency Anvisa actually requires these kinds of safety studies for herbal meds.
So it's like due diligence for natural products, similar to what you'd expect for regular drugs.
Kind of, yeah. They wanted to see if this Nerviton formula had any toxic effects when given orally to rabbits for 30 days.
Rabbits. Why rabbits for this one?
Well, those Brazilian guidelines suggest testing in 2 mammal species, a rodent and a non-rodent. The same research group had already tested Nerviton in rats.
Okay.
And found no toxic effects of the dose they used then. So using rabbits fulfills that non-rodent requirement.
Got it. Covering their bases. So what did they actually do? How much Nerviton did these rabbits get?
They gave it orally, daily, for 30 days to both male and female rabbits. And here's the kicker. The dose was 10 times the prescribed human dose.
10 times. Okay, they were really pushing it to see if anything negative showed up.
Exactly. A very high margin. And they watched these rabbits like hawks.
What did they track?
Oh, everything. General signs of sickness, how they moved, behavior, breathing rate, body weight, food and water intake, even their temperature. Plus, full blood work, urine tests. And at the end, a really detailed examination of all their organs and tissues, including weighing the organs. Super thorough.
Wow, that sounds incredibly detailed. So after a month of this high dose and all that scrutiny, what was the verdict? Did Nerviton cause any problems?
The headline finding. Absolutely no changes in any of the toxicological signs they were looking for.
None at all.
None. Sure, body weight, food intake, temperature, they fluctuated a bit day to day, like you'd expect, but nothing pointed to a toxic effect from the Nervitin itself.
That's pretty reassuring for that specific formula. What about the blood tests, urine, all that?
All normal. The results at the end of the 30 days were basically the same as the baseline results taken before they started, and everything was well within the healthy range for rabbits. No red flags in behavior, movement, breathing either.
And the organs, when they look closely at the end?
Also clear. The detailed examination, the organ weights, no significant changes found, everything looked normal, and importantly, no differences between male and female rabbits.
Okay, so the conclusion from this toxicity study seems pretty straightforward then.
It does. The researchers concluded that this Nervitin formulation, the one including Miroplama, showed no toxic effects in rabbits, even at that dose 10 times higher than the human one. They considered it, quote, relatively innocuous at these levels.
And this backs up their earlier findings in rats, you said.
Correct. The rat study also found no toxic effects at 10 times the human dose. So you have two different animal models, rodent and non-rodent, showing a similar lack of toxicity at these high doses for this specific blend.
It's interesting, though. They mentioned that some of the individual plants in Nervitin have shown adverse effects in other studies. How does that square with these findings?
That's a great point. Their thinking is that while an individual herb might cause issues at certain concentrations or on its own, the way Nervitin is formulated, the specific mix, and the likely lower concentrations of each individual herb within that mix means it's probably not enough to trigger those known adverse reactions.
Ah, so the whole might be different, safer perhaps, than the sum of its parts in this case.
Potentially, yes. It really highlights how formulation matters. The specific recipe, the dosages within the blend, can be crucial for the overall safety profile. You can't just assume a mix will act like its strongest ingredient.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, so we've explored both studies. How do we connect these pieces? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, stepping back, that first study on Herbal VX gives us some, let's say, preliminary positive signals. It suggests Miroplama, especially with ginkgo, might benefit female sexual well-being. And that lines up pretty well with its traditional use, doesn't it?
Yeah, that potency wood reputation.
Exactly. It suggests there might be something to that traditional wisdom.
Okay. And the second study, the Nervitin safety one, how does that fit?
While it looked at a totally different product, it does offer some reassurance about Miroplama itself. It shows that it can be included in a multi-herb formula without causing obvious toxicity, at least in these animal tests at very high doses.
So it suggests Miroplama isn't inherently toxic when used this way.
It suggests it's possible to formulate with it safely, yeah.
Yeah.
Under the conditions of that study, anyway.
But we definitely need to remember these are just two studies, right? What comes next?
Oh, absolutely critical point. Like the Herbal VX researchers said themselves, more research is key. That double-blind trial they mentioned, that's vital to really confirm if Herbal VX works and how. And these kinds of safety studies, like the Nervitin one, are just fundamental for making sure herbal supplements are used responsibly. You need both efficacy and safety data.
We also had that third source, the review article about adaptogens and reproductive function. We didn't dive deep into it, but does it add any context here?
It does, in a broader sense.
Yeah.
That review talks about adaptogens, things thought to help the body handle stress, and how they might affect reproductive health generally.
Okay.
It covers various adaptogens, but the whole concept, using plants to potentially influence things like libido and sexual function, fits right into this wider interest in finding natural ways to support health, including sexual and reproductive well-being.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this deep dive up. Bring it all together.
All right, so the key takeaways for you listening are that initial Herbal VX study showed some promise for improving aspects of female sexual function, and it seemed well tolerated.
Okay, promise, but early days.
Exactly. And then the separate safety study in rabbits suggested that a different formulation, one that also contained Miroplama, appeared relatively safe, even at super high doses in those animals.
And we really want to emphasize for you, our listener, that this has been a focused look just at the info inside these specific sources we discussed. We've tried to give you a clear picture of what they found.
Yeah, just distilling those findings for you.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Given these initial positive hints about Herbal VX and the safety data for that other Miroplama formula, what other questions pop into your mind about using herbal supplements for sexual health? What kind of research do you think would be most useful moving forward in this really complex and, let's face it, fascinating area?
Yeah, definitely still lots to explore there.
Thanks for tuning in to Bloom's Cast, brought to you by blooms.io. Stay curious, stay connected, and we'll see you next time on the frontier of natural product innovation.
PharmaPal.